Someone might want to introduce Trump to his own cabinet members because what just happened is especially embarrassing. Here's JD Vance this morning.
Does the United States support Israel killing Iran's leader?
Well, look, that's up to the Israelis, but our view has been very clear that we don't want a regime change. We do not want to protract this or build this out any more than it's already been built out. We want to end their nuclear program, and then we want to talk to the Iranians about a long-term settlement here.
That the administration's view is clear. They do not want regime change. Cut to, just hours later, Trump takes to Truth Social, writing, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, then why wouldn't there be a regime change? MIGA. Whoops! Don't you just hate it when you speak on behalf of the administration on national television, only for the president to completely undercut you and make you look as clueless and impotent as we all suspected you are? And by the way, you know what makes it even worse for Vance? This tweet that he himself posted back in 2022. Joe Biden went to Europe and advocated for a nuclear powers regime change, and then 10 minutes later, his own White House had to contradict him. Seems like a big deal. It does seem like a big deal, doesn't it, JD? Of course, now that it's happened to him, he'll pretend that it's not, because rule number one of the MAGA GOP is that they can lecture, they can attack, they can whine ad nauseum, but when they do any of what they accuse the other side of doing, well, then it's just crickets. And by the way, it's not just Vance who got rolled by this president. Here's Pete Hegseth also putting himself out on a limb, only to watch Trump saw it off.
Is regime change off the table, Mr. Secretary? And to the chairman, you said the battle damage assessment is still ongoing, but do you believe that some nuclear capability in Iran remains?
This mission was not and has not been about regime change. The president authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel.
And here's Marco Rubio.
So this mission was a very precise mission. It had three objectives, three nuclear sites. It was not an attack on Iran. It was not an attack on the Iranian people. This wasn't a regime change move. This was designed to degrade and or destroy three nuclear sites related to their nuclear weaponization ambitions.
Like, do any of these people talk to each other? You've got half the cabinet out here promising that this isn't regime change, only for the president himself to undercut all of them and then claim that this actually is about regime change. But this is significant not just because Trump publicly embarrassed his own cabinet officials today, but also because regime change wars are precisely the thing that Americans don't want and that he himself campaigned against. We've got decades of failed regime change wars under our belt, regime change wars that served as the basis for Trump's own campaign. And yet, lo and behold, now we've got a brand new one thanks to Trump himself. In fact, on the topic of Trump officials going out on a limb for him only to be embarrassed, listen to what some of these people were saying just a few months back on the campaign trail. Here's RFK Jr.
If you want to avoid nuclear war, I strongly urge you to vote for Donald Trump. In fact, I would go so far as to say that a vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for nuclear war.
Here's Tulsi Gabbard echoing that sentiment.
Here is the choice that we have. A vote for Kamala Harris is a vote for Dick Cheney, and it's a vote for war, more war, likely World War III and nuclear war. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote for a man who wants to end wars, not start them.
I mean, hell, when I say that Trump hung everyone out to dry, that includes himself, since this is the bullshit he was shoveling into his supporters' mouths before the election.
We're rebuilding our military stronger than ever before, and we are not going to deplete it again on stupid, senseless, endless wars. World War III has never been closer than it is right now. We need to clean house of all of the warmongers and America last globalists and the deep state. I am the president who delivers peace. I was the first president in decades who didn't start a war. But I stand here today, and I'm the only candidate who can make this promise. I will prevent, and very easily, World War III, very easily. Because I think we would have been good with Iran. I don't want to do anything bad to Iran. Large sections of the Middle East. I mean, look at the death and destruction that's taken place. And none of this would have happened if I were president. What would happen if we had a war? We won't, with me, but you will have World War III, I believe, without me, but we won't have. I will be sure that World War III will not happen. I'm the only one can say it won't happen. These globalists want to squander all of America's strength, blood, and treasure, chasing monsters and phantoms overseas. In addition, there must also be a complete commitment to dismantling the entire globalist neocon establishment that is perpetually dragging us into endless wars, pretending to fight for freedom and democracy abroad.
Now, I want to be clear. The reason that there is so much undercutting in this administration is because they don't actually believe in anything. They claim they were anti-war and then started a war. They claim they cared about lowering costs and then sent costs surging thanks to Trump's trade war. They claim that they cared about the deficit and then wrote a budget bill that would explode the deficit by $3.5 trillion. They claim they cared about law and order and immediately released 1,500 insurrectionists, many of whom went on to commit more crimes and find themselves back in prison. These people will say whatever they need to say to gain power, but once they've got it, they are unrecognizable to the people who they trusted with their votes. Because again, it was never about some specific set of principles or underlying ideology. There is no ideology. There are no principles. There is only power. That's the agenda. That's what this is about. That's what the GOP cares about. Trump does not view himself as accountable to anyone, certainly not the plebes who he manipulated into voting for him. This is about him and his ego and feeling like a tough guy on the world stage, just like he's done since day one of his second term. He did it with Greenland, he did it with Canada, he did it with Panama, and now he's doing it with Iran. This is about a power-hungry autocrat flexing his muscles because he can. So I hope his supporters can see the bill of goods they've been sold. This isn't an I told you so, it is simply me acknowledging that you were lied to by Trump and Republicans who will back this new war no matter how much it costs, because their allegiance isn't to you, it's to Trump. Something to remember the next time the next election rolls around and they beg for your votes by promising you the world. This is all the proof you need that they will lie with abandon then, just like they're doing now. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.